Hi, my name's Mark Dory, and in my last video series we looked at encountering Jesus through John's Gospel, where I took you through John's Gospel a bit at a time, and we went all the way through. And today, it's about 6 weeks later since I'd done my last video, and I was wondering whether to actually go through Mark's Gospel, and I said that at the end of my last video series. And the thing is, things have changed a lot in the last 6 weeks, and in the Ukraine at the moment, Russia has gone to war with the Ukraine, and the Ukraine are fighting valiantly. And the thing is, today everything is online, everything is fast and immediate and attention grabbing. And most of the media is filled with bad news. It's filled with wars and rapes and economic crisis and murder and poverty and all of these things. And there seems to be very little room for good news. There's very little room for good news. You might get the little bit at the end where they say, oh, today a cat was rescued from a tree, but otherwise, it's good news is hard to come by, and the news hits us fast and furious. But how would it be to receive not only just good news, but absolutely fantastic, amazing, life-changing news? Because 2,000 years ago in Israel was an occupied country by the Roman Empire, and it seemed that God had almost vanished, and yet the Bible was rooted in Israel. The Old Testament is rooted in Israel, but where was God in all of this stuff? Israel was supposed to be God's own people, and yet God had already almost vanished. Rome was all over the world, and they were an occupied country. But then, out of nowhere, this unknown carpenter from a backwater town starts preaching some amazing, mind-blowing good news. Because everything is about to change. Everything is about to change. This carpenter, this ex-carpenter, is going around and he's saying some spectacular and revolutionary things, even against the religious authorities and against Rome and against everything. Not only that, he starts doing these amazing miracles, and he's saying things that no one has ever said before. And as you know, this carpenter, his name is Jesus. And the news he brought, the news where he impacted and changed the world, has changed and impacted the world ever since. The world has never been the same since Jesus came. And the thing is, a lot of what he did is actually recorded in the 4 Gospels of the Bible's New Testament. But how many of us actually look in the Bible and actually see what Jesus said and what he did? More importantly still, what was behind it all? What was this good news, this gospel that Jesus was on about? Why did he say the things he did, and why did he do the things he did in the first place? John's gospel is it focuses on some narrow sort of scenes in Jesus's life. But Mark's gospel is like a newspaper. It's quick, it's snappy, it's intense, it's fast moving, and it records Jesus in action. It records the things he's saying, it records the miracles he's doing. And it really is, it's like a Roman newspaper. And the thing is, Mark, if you know anything about the 12 disciples, he wasn't one of the 12 disciples. So where did he get his information from? Well, it's thought that Mark was a close friend of Peter, and a lot of the things in the Gospels in the Gospel of Mark. It's not recorded anywhere else. The intimacy and everything else. And Peter was Jesus's best mate. He was his best buddy. And these details recorded in Mark's Gospel, really it could be called Peter's Gospel. But whoever's Gospel it is, it records Jesus in action, doing things, moving quickly. And it's the shortest Gospel in terms of pages, but it is the most fast moving. And what I want to do, just like John's Gospel, is I want to take you through Mark's Gospel on a journey through this fast moving Gospel to see Jesus in a new light and in a new perspective. And I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to ask you some thought-provoking questions. And as we go through the Gospel, I'll put the words up on the screen. You can have a Bible, you can follow it on your phone, and whatever translation you like, because there's loads of translations. But I will just go through the Gospel, and as we go through it, we'll ask ourselves some deep, life-changing questions about what this good news, who Jesus is, and everything else. And all this over a couple, it's been 6 weeks, over 6 weeks since I finished John's Gospel, and the world has changed. Russia has gone into the Ukraine. There's people dying, and the world has changed. And I was wondering whether to do this, whether to record this Mark's Gospel. But I do feel it is the right time, because we need good news. I need good news. We need to see Jesus moving, not just in the Bible, but in our lives today. So join me as I go, hopefully on a weekly jaunt through Mark's Gospel all over a cuppa. So I'll see you then.